Welcome to Karma Chronicles. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin.
They got my name wrong on the damn place card. Camilla Hartley, in looping gold-foiled script, like I was some lost duchess instead of a ghost in cheap flats. I flipped it over and set it face down. My name is Camille. I'm 40 years old. I live off-grid outside Helena, Montana, and I did not want to be here. But there I was, standing under a chandelier, the size of a satellite dish in the Rosemore Grand Hotel ballroom, watching people I used to know sip champagne like it was their birthright. I showed up in a wrinkled black dress I hadn't worn since my father's funeral. No heels, no designer clutch, no teeth-bleached grin or influencer husband. Just me, underdressed, unmissed, and completely unrecognizable. No one noticed me walk in. Or if they did, they pretended not to. I scanned the room. Recognition flickered in a few faces, then vanished. All I saw were surgically polished smiles, Gucci shoes, and the clinking of money. Literal money. Some finance bro tossed a wad into a crystal charity bowl like he was dropping change at a gas station. Quick note, before we get into it, tell us which country you're watching from. That's when I saw her. Vanessa, my older sister, standing on stage under a rose arch, giving a toast like she was born on a throne. Her red dress cost more than my entire truck. Diamond earrings, a smirk that hadn't changed since junior year when she got me suspended and laughed about it. And to all of us who never lost our way, she said into the mic, lifting her glass. Some of us never had to disappear to figure out who we were. Laughter. Not everyone got the jab, but I did. Every syllable. I downed the rest of my champagne in one gulp. Then a voice behind me said, "Still can't keep her mouth shut, huh?" I turned. Riley. She looked the same, older but sharper. Same cool eyes, same watchful stillness. We nodded, no hug. That was enough. Ethan came next, awkward as hell, shifting from foot to foot like he wanted to bolt. "Camille? Wow, I didn't think you'd actually come." I waited. He blinked. "You look good." "Uh-huh." He opened his mouth, closed it, then walked off like a man who just remembered he left the oven on. That was it. "Welcome back, Camille. You're still the shadow in your own story." I slipped my hand into my jacket pocket, fingers brushing metal. Cold, familiar, just in case. I crossed the room toward the back exit, heels clicking behind me. Someone was following. I moved fast, cut through a service hallway, took the freight elevator down, pushed out into the back lot with my shoulders high and jaw locked. The night air hit like a slap. Wet, warm, heavy with summer rot. Whoever was behind me never followed. I waited 2 minutes in the dark, back pressed against the concrete wall, hands still on the blade clipped inside my jacket. Nothing. I exhaled, sharp and slow, and walked to my rental. The hotel was behind me. That mess of gold-plated smiles, petty digs, and people like Vanessa soaking in praise like they earned it. By morning, the bruise of that night was deep under my skin. I sat in my motel bed, gray sheets twisted around my legs, sipping burnt coffee and replaying that damn toast over and over. Some of us never had to disappear. That was Vanessa's whole thing. Look pretty, lie big, make it personal. She didn't just cut deep. She smiled while she twisted. After Mom died, I barely had time to grieve before Dad was gone too. Stroke. Fast. He left the estate split down the middle. Or that's what I believed. Until I showed up to the reading and saw Vanessa's lawyer instead of mine. Everything. House, land, savings, assets. Updated. Apparently, Dad changed the will 6 days before he died. Thing is, I was with him when he took his last breath. He couldn't even hold a pen. I knew it was forged. But I had no proof, no lawyer, no money to fight. She smiled at me across that long conference table like she was gifting me mercy, not robbing me blind. That was the last time I looked her in the eye. 2 months later, I was recruited. Quiet knock, no uniform. A man who knew my name, blood type, and test scores. "Ghost Viper needs you," he said. I didn't ask who they were. I just said yes. For 7 years, I lived off-grid, under contract so black it didn't exist. No phone, no family, no record. We trained, deployed, executed, and disappeared. No photos, no trace, no past. But Vanessa still haunted me. I saw her face in every handler who barked orders, in every politician we had to protect. I carried her voice in my head like a scar that kept itching. Even as a kid, she played the long con, took my art, claimed it as hers, flirted with my crushes, then tossed them like trash. told me once, in the middle of our parents' anniversary dinner, that I was adopted. I wasn't. She just liked seeing me break. I could count on one hand the number of people I trusted after 20. By 30, I stopped counting altogether. So when the knock came at the motel door around 10 a.m., I didn't flinch. I slipped the safety off before opening it. No one there, just a thick manila envelope sitting dead center on the doormat. No label, no return address. I brought it inside, sliced the top, and shook it out onto the table. One photo. Glossy. 8 by 10. It was me and Vanessa. Backyard birthday party. I think I was maybe 7. She was holding the cake, smiling perfect for the camera. I was off to the side, holding a balloon, my smile small. But it wasn't the photo that made my chest tighten. It was the cut. Right through the middle, from Vanessa's forehead to my jaw, sliced clean. A box cutter, or blade, surgical, cold. This wasn't nostalgia. It was a message. I turned the envelope inside out. Nothing else. No writing. No smudge. Just that damn photo and the sound of something in the air shifting. I got to work. Pulled the duffel from under the bed. Checked each lockbox. Burners, signal scramblers, encrypted drives, physical backups. Everything was where I left it. But someone knew I was here. Someone wanted me to remember. And they wanted me rattled. I zipped the duffel shut, tossed the room key, and walked out. I had 3 hours before checkout. That was enough time to vanish. Again, I didn't vanish. Not yet. Instead, I showed up to the alumni brunch like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't spent the night packing an emergency kit and locking down burner lines. They held the brunch on the terrace. White umbrellas, bottomless mimosas, waitstaff in black aprons gliding around like chess pieces. I sat at the far table, sunglasses on, black coffee in hand. Vanessa made her entrance halfway through, late and loud. White suit, oversized sunglasses, lips painted like blood. Her entourage swarmed in seconds. I just closed the Tel Aviv deal, she said, not bothering to sit. The board fought me on the AI rollout, but I didn't flinch. Fear is a luxury. I moved through it. Half the table murmured approval like she was the damn messiah. I sipped my coffee, dead quiet. She clocked me from across the terrace. Didn't break stride. Didn't look away. Just smiled that venomous smile and leaned into the next story about disrupting clean energy markets. Then I heard it. One of the old classmates, Megan something, laughing. Remember when Vanessa ran that tutoring scam back in undergrad? You were a genius, girl. I looked up. Actually, I said, that wasn't Vanessa's idea. That was Angela Ford's spreadsheet. Vanessa just copied it, changed the branding, and blackballed Angela when she complained. The table froze. Vanessa's smile didn't move, but her fingers tightened around the glass stem. Megan blinked. Wait, is that true? Vanessa turned, voice sugary. It's cute. Camille's trying to rewrite history. Ghosts do that sometimes. I was there, I said. Angela spent her junior year working 3 jobs while Vanessa got invited to panels about academic innovation. A beat of silence. Someone cleared their throat. The server poured more coffee. The air turned brittle. I stood, slow and deliberate. Enjoy brunch. I walked to the edge of the terrace and stopped near a potted hedge. Riley joined me 30 seconds later. You poked the beast, she said. I shrugged. Beast's got it coming. You're stirring things up. People notice. Let them. She looked at me like she was trying to figure out if I'd lost it or was playing the longest con ever. Is this just about high school? She asked. Not even close. She didn't push. She didn't have to. I leaned against the railing and watched Vanessa hold court again, laugh too loudly, charm too smoothly. All I could hear was her voice from 20 years ago, whispering after my graduation, "You were always the mistake." Mom just didn't know how to admit it. She'd said it like it was fact, and part of me had believed her, but not anymore. I turned away from the crowd and walked out, the sharp click of my boots cutting through the background chatter. I had what I needed now. She felt me closing in. I drove straight through the night. No stops, no music, just the sound of tires chewing asphalt and my jaw grinding tight. Pulled up the mountain road with headlights off, just like I'd trained. The trees were still, windless. But something was wrong. I felt it. My boots hit gravel soft as I circled around the back. Side window cracked open a 1/4 inch. That window didn't open, ever. I pulled the cig from under my seat and cleared the cabin, one room at a time. Nothing overturned. Nothing missing, except one thing. I knelt by the wood stove, pried the floorboard with my knife, and reached down. Empty. The flash drive was gone. I built that drop myself, sealed it under reinforced steel. Only one person on this planet knew it was there. Me. That drive held redacted data from my last 3 ops with Ghost Viper. Not full intel, just encrypted reports flagged for internal corruption. We weren't supposed to keep records, but after the Jakarta blackout op, I stopped trusting internal channels. Someone knew. I sealed the cabin behind me and triggered lockdown. Metal shutters dropped. EMP safe relay hit. Solar battery diverted. I lifted the rug and unlocked the hatch beneath the cot. Climbed down the steel ladder into my digital ops room. 20 feet underground, wrapped in lead, silent as death. Everything powered up in under 30 seconds. 3 monitors, manual satellite relay. No internet. I ran everything through analog first. I pulled the alumni brunch gift bag from my duffel, still sealed. Cute branding, useless trinkets. I scanned the interior lining. There it was. Thin RFID strip embedded near the seam. I dropped it into the scanner. Device origin, Luxembourg. Signal relay, Jakarta. Current location, Dubai. Dubai. I traced the last outbound ping, logged to a dummy domain routed through a shell company, Revox Global Logistics. I knew that name. Vanessa listed it in her stupid panel bio as a strategic logistics partner 2 years ago. Quiet enough to go unnoticed. Loud enough for people to think it was real. I cross-referenced the contact email, scrambled domain, but the DNS server linked back to a dead web page with one archived press release. Name at the bottom, V. Hartley, COO, bingo. I sat back, heart thudding once, then steady. She didn't just know about the drive, she had the resources to extract it without leaving a trace, and she wanted me to know. The photo, the window, this was a warning. I pulled up my secure comms channel and tapped out a coded message. It routed through 4 old tunnels before hitting its destination. To Ren 09, MSG, Dove needs eyes. Target Revox Global. Priority, red. I encrypted it twice and waited. 15 minutes later, my screen lit up. Ren 09 always knew you'd pull me back in. Surveillance package inbound. ATA 36 hours. Ren was ex-Ghost Viper. Same unit, 10 years deep. He owed me. I saved his ass in Istanbul and never called it in until now. I closed the laptop and powered down every panel. Back up the ladder, out of the hatch, sealed it, rearmed the shutters. The mountain was dead quiet, but I didn't feel safe. Not anymore. She'd reached into my world, my real world. Not the artist front I used to keep people away. Not the fake name on the mailbox. She reached into the part of me I kept buried under years of silence. That meant she knew more than I thought. And if she had the drive, she had leverage. But leverage cuts both ways. Engagement question plus CTA. If someone breached your safe house and stole intel, what would be your first move? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I stood in the gallery 2 hours before doors opened, rolling a smudge of gray over the final brushstroke. My hands were steady. The canvas was 6 feet tall, framed in matte black steel and wired tight with a custom cipher. Layered frequencies, vector distortions, and algorithmic interference built into the texture. You wouldn't see it unless you knew what to look for. Most would call it abstract, a mess of shattered shapes and cold reds bleeding into white. But anyone with the right surveillance lens or access to Ren's embedded decoder app would get the full map, locations, shipments, dates, all buried in pigment and silence. The gallery owner, some naive arts grad from Portland, thought it was a raw take on post-military trauma. I didn't correct him. By 7, the room was full. Wine glasses clinked. Soft jazz. Polite, shallow laughs echoing under track lighting. I wore all black, no jewelry, hair tied back. Stood near the wall, invisible unless you were looking. Riley arrived 10 minutes in, sharp as ever in a slate gray suit. She scanned the room once, gave the smallest nod, and moved toward the painting. She paused, just long enough to trigger the phone in her pocket. The app blinked on. Then she turned and started a conversation with a collector near the cheese platter, like she hadn't done a damn thing. That was our deal. Quiet assistance, no fallout, no trace. 2 men near the exit caught my eye. Both in beige jackets, no drinks, no talking. One kept touching his collar. The other scanned the crowd with that too casual stare, like he wasn't watching anything at all. Not alumni, not art types, plants. I shifted toward the far wall and positioned myself between them and the painting. If they were here for the data, they wouldn't get to decode it tonight. Then I saw her. Grace Ellis, black stilettos, tight bun. That fake bored look rich women wear when they're trying too hard to seem above it all. She stopped 5 feet from the canvas, tilted her head. She knew. Her eyes narrowed, lips pressed thin. She looked from the painting to the exit, then back again. I walked over, casual as hell. Didn't expect to see you in a place like this. Grace didn't smile. Vanessa said this was a waste of time. I came to see for myself. I sipped my water. And? You're still a shadow, Camille, dressed up in mess. That's the thing about shadows, I said. They always mean there's a light nearby. She stiffened, checked her phone, walked away. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Grace showing up was confirmation. That painting hit a nerve. I waited 10 more minutes, then slipped out the side door. Riley followed 2 minutes later. You happy? She asked, eyes scanning the alley. She took the bait, I said. You sure? She stared too long. Her body screamed it. You're playing a tight game, Riley said. Number, I'm ending one. We split off at the corner without another word. The trap was set. Now I waited. Riley peeled off into the shadows, and I kept walking. 2 blocks, no stops, no eye contact. When I hit the edge of the warehouse district, I cut down a dead-end alley and tapped twice on a rusted door marked Unit 4B. It opened instantly. Jack stood there in worn cargo pants, half-buttoned shirt, and the same dead-eyed look he'd had back in Caracas. Nice of you to finally call, he said. Missed your charm, I said, brushing past him into the dark. The base wasn't official, just a buried safe site Ghost Viper set up before the unit was disbanded. Concrete walls, wire mesh shelving, cold steel tables, 2 rooms, 1 way in, one hell of a firewall. Riley was already inside, sliding a flash drive into the terminal. Data from the trap's uplink, she said. Grace opened it. 2 minutes of decoded signal went outbound before we killed it. Destination? I asked. Jax grunted. Logistics facility in southern Germany. Warehouse registered to a humanitarian aid distributor. He brought it up on the screen. Satellite shots, blueprints, heat maps. I leaned in. Show me the cargo logs. He clicked. Manifest popped up. Boxes labeled medical kits, educational materials, thermal blankets. All fake, Jack said. Every crate scan shows metallic density. You don't need that many rifles to teach kids in Ghana. Vanessa's using the warehouse to run arms shipments, I said flatly. Worse, Riley added. We found something else. She pulled up a second window. My paintings, 10 of them. Digital copies filed under a marketing agency, Argonne West Media LLC. Those are mine, I said. Yeah, Riley said. She's using your artwork as a communications network. Each piece has embedded patterns, likely relaying drop instructions, transport orders, maybe even targets. They upload them to dummy gallery pages, scan, decode, delete. Jax crossed his arms. You've been compromised for months and didn't know. My stomach twisted, but I held my voice steady. She's not just using my name, she's weaponizing it. Riley turned. There's more. We traced Argonne West's funding. Guess whose name showed up under the shell firm? I didn't answer. She didn't need me to. Vanessa Hartley, listed as creative director. Of course, she built an empire off fake images. Now she was laundering weapons under mine. Jax leaned over the table. You ready for this next part? I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. He tapped the old landline mounted on the wall. We called Ellison. He's inbound. I froze for half a beat. He's still active? Jax nodded. Barely. They stuck him behind a desk in DC, but he still has the codes, and he remembers what she did. 10 minutes later, the door buzzed twice. I opened it. Ellison looked thinner, but his voice still cut like a damn blade. Camille. Commander. He stepped in, scanned the room, didn't sit. You've got 90 seconds. Tell me what I'm walking into. I laid it out fast. Vanessa's logistics scam, the arms shipments, the use of my ciphered paintings, the laundering firm. Riley pulled up visual confirmation on the screen. Ellison didn't flinch. And you've got proof these paintings were yours? They're encrypted with a personal key, embedded signature hashes only I can replicate. Military grade. Registered off-grid. He nodded once. And what do you want from me? He asked. Silent strike protocol. Reactivate it. Limited scope. Classified relay. Ellison crossed his arms. That directive hasn't been touched since Tripoli. Then maybe it's time, I said. Silence. Then he pulled out his secure tablet, entered a long string of codes, and said, Done. You've got 72 hours. After that, this disappears again. He left without another word. I moved to the corner, opened my duffel, and pulled out the last 3 original paintings I'd kept off the radar. I spent the next 2 hours embedding payloads, timestamped directives, intel logs, GPS data, weapon specs, financial trails, all layered beneath color and texture, masked to hell. Each painting would hit a different federal node, Homeland DOJ and INTERPOL. When the ciphers hit, they'd light up like flares. Riley watched me work. You good? She asked. No, I said. But I'm ready. And I was. Vanessa had built her kingdom in silence. I was about to end it with noise. We pulled up to the event at 7:58 p.m., sharp. Black SUVs, clean suits. No badges showing, but everyone knew what time it was. I stepped out first, boots hitting the pavement with purpose. Hair slicked back. Military dress uniform. Ghost Viper pins glinting under the streetlights. I'd been invisible for years. Tonight, I wanted to be seen. Riley stepped behind me, talking low into her comm. Visual feeds locked, streaming to all major press outlets. 2-minute delay buffer in place. The building was glass and gold, lit up like it thought it was untouchable. Giant banners read, The Hartley Initiative, Global Change Through Powerful Women. I walked straight past the valet. No invite, no scan. The guard saw the earpieces and the federal faces flanking me and didn't ask questions. Inside, everything reeked of polished lies. Champagne towers, marble floors, strings playing some soulless corporate medley. Vanessa stood center stage in a white gown, mid-speech. And as we expand into the Pacific Corridor, we remember, influence is a responsibility, not a privilege. Right. I moved down the aisle, slow, deliberate. Eyes turned, cameras turned, whispers rose. Vanessa caught sight of me, paused, then kept going. She thought she could outsmile it, out-talk it. She was wrong. At exactly 8:03, Riley hit the first trigger. The massive LED screen behind Vanessa glitched once, then lit up with full-blown hell. Wire transfers, redacted logs, thermal scans of illegal shipments labeled school aid, but showing crates of rifles, shell company blueprints, her signature, her name, her face. People gasped. Phones came up. Vanessa froze. I kept walking. Then the second wave hit. Curated video footage. Time-stamped boardroom clips of Vanessa nodding along to laundering plans. Snippets of her ordering code-based drops through Argonne West. I stopped 10 feet from the stage. 2 agents stepped forward and unsealed the indictment envelope. One handed it to her. Vanessa Hartley, you are under federal investigation for international arms trafficking, shell finance laundering, and violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. She didn't speak, didn't blink, just stared at me, dead in the eye. Then she smiled, tight, venomous. You think they'll protect you from what happens next? She said. I didn't answer. A reporter pushed forward. Ms. Hartley, do you deny these charges? Vanessa turned, voice like glass cracking. They think this is the end. This is the beginning of a war none of you are ready for. Her gaze slid across the crowd, locked onto someone behind me. Ethan, she said loud and clear, you better hope they never find the backup files. Gasps, cameras flashing again. I turned. Ethan was standing frozen near the back, pale, mouth open. Riley's voice crackled in my earpiece. We've got eyes on the full backup path. She's bluffing. She's also desperate, I said. Keep the pressure up. Vanessa was cuffed, quiet, almost regal, as if she wanted the show. I walked past her as the agents took her down the steps. She leaned in, eyes sharp. Dad left it all to me because he knew you'd always hide in basements. You're not the savior, Camille. You're just the cleanup crew. I looked her in the face for the last time. And you're just another dictator with a lip gloss budget. Riley met me by the service exit. We're clean, servers burned, files dropped to DOJ, INTERPOL, and the press. Then it's done, I said. No, she said. It started. By morning, the headlines were eating each other alive. Vanessa Hartley arrested in shocking arms scandal. Hartley empire crumbles in live raid. Ghost sister behind international sting operation. I sat on the edge of a motel bed, with the TV muted and my boots still on. Empty coffee cup, stillness humming in my bones. Grace Ellis flipped first, no surprise there. Her immunity deal hit the DOJ site less than 24 hours after Vanessa's arrest. Riley flagged it. Grace gave them everything. Warehouses, passphrases, burner accounts. Coward move, but effective. Ethan resigned that same week, quietly, no press conference, just a one-line email to the Hartley board, and then silence. 3 days later, a voicemail hit my private line. I almost didn't listen. Almost. His voice came through like gravel soaked in guilt. Camille, I should have said something years ago. I thought loyalty meant silence. I was wrong. You were always the better one. I'm sorry. For all of it. That was it. No number. No return line. I deleted it after the first listen. Riley's expose dropped that weekend. 37 minutes of documentary fire, cut with intel leaks and on-record testimony. National acclaim, awards talk, morning shows begging for guest segments. She turned most of it down. Passed my way a few of the requests. I turned them all down. I'd had my moment, and it was enough. A week later, I went back. Back to the estate. The one Vanessa swore would always be hers. I pulled up the long gravel driveway around noon. Clouds overhead, gate rusted halfway open, grass pushing through the cracks in the stone. Inside, it was dusty but still standing. The piano we weren't allowed to touch as kids now sat with chipped keys and spiderwebs under the lid. The old hallway mirror was still cracked from when I punched it at 17. I walked room to room. No ghosts, just air and silence. The deed was already transferred. I'd wired the legal clearance the morning after the raid. No red tape, no press. I didn't fix it up. I left it bare. A month later, it was open. The Hartley Center for Displaced Youth and Creative Recovery. Too long a name, but the kind that gets grants. Riley helped with that. I set up a small studio in the sunroom. No encryption, just canvas, paint, and whatever came out of my hands when I stopped looking over my shoulder. We didn't lock anything. No off-limits rooms, no fake rules. The kids came and went, most with faces that looked too old for their age. A few talked, most didn't. Then one day she showed up. Lexi, 17, maybe 18, buzzed hair, nervous shoulders, cadet posture even in jeans. She didn't say much until the third visit. I was painting with the door cracked when I felt her step in. "You're Camille, right?" she asked. I nodded. She looked around. "You really did all that? With the takedown?" "Yeah. They said you were some ghost. Nobody believed it at first." I didn't answer. She looked down at her hands. "I just wanted to say thanks for making noise, for not letting them bury it again." I stared at her for a second, then handed her a paintbrush. "You want to learn how to not say things with words?" I asked. She grinned. "Yeah, I do." That was it. No ceremony, no mission brief. Just a girl and a brush in a quiet room that used to smell like money. I didn't lock anything behind me. There was nothing left I needed to keep out. The prison smelled like bleach and metal, clean in the way nothing alive ever feels. I sat across the glass partition in a hard plastic chair, hands flat on the table, back straight. Vanessa came in like it was still her stage. Hair pulled back tight, state-issued jumpsuit like it was designer. Same smile, same eyes. She picked up the phone on her side of the glass. I didn't touch mine. She waited. I waited longer. Finally, I picked it up. She smirked. "Well, if it isn't my little ghost. You're not worth a nickname anymore." She blinked once. Not enough to break, but enough to feel it. "You came all this way just to gloat?" she asked. Number I came to say one thing. Then, I'm done. Make it count. I leaned forward. "You lost." Her smile didn't move, but her hand tightened around the phone. "You think any of this changes what you are?" she said, voice like static. "You needed me. You always did. Without me, you're just a glitch in someone else's life." I didn't flinch. "Without you, I finally have mine." She laughed once, short, dry. "You're still nothing but background noise to people who matter." "I'm not here to matter," I said. "I'm here to finish what you started and couldn't control." A guard tapped the glass. Time was up. I hung up first. Vanessa stayed there, staring at the receiver in her hand like she was waiting for it to say something else. I didn't look back. Lexi was waiting outside in the parking lot, sitting on the hood of my truck with a wrapped canvas in her lap. "I figured you'd need this," she said, handing it over. I unwrapped it right there. It was rough, colors clashing, shapes jagged. A broken figure standing on a fault line, half of it cracked down the middle, but upright, still standing. "Survival and fracture," Lexi said. "Both can live in the same frame." I nodded. "That's good work." "I'm trying," she said. "Like you showed me." I slid the painting into the truck bed and climbed in. She handed me something else before I could start the engine, a flash drive. "Somebody dropped this at the center while you were gone. No name. Just said it was for you." I held it up to the light. No markings, no scratches. Clean and heavy. "Did you open it?" I asked. Lexi shook her head. "Didn't feel like it was mine to see." I tucked it into the inside pocket of my jacket. I knew that weight, that silence. It wasn't over. But this time, I didn't run. I drove back to the estate, unlocked the studio, and flipped the sign from closed to open. 2 hours later, a girl I'd never seen before stepped into the room. She looked nervous, young, wound tight, like she'd snap if the wind hit wrong. "You teach here?" she asked. I nodded. "You teach how to be quiet without disappearing?" I met her eyes. "Yeah," I said. "That's exactly what I teach." I handed her a brush. She took it. The room was dark, cold, and buried 6 stories beneath the Pentagon. No press, no cameras, just shadows and scars in dress uniform. I stood in the back while someone read a list of names no one outside that room would ever hear. Mine was 4th. No rank, no file. Just a nod and a pause. Then Lexi stepped up to the mic. She wore her cadet blues sharp and proud, chin high, hands steady. "She doesn't like the spotlight," Lexi said. "But the truth is, we only made it through because someone before us kept their mouth shut when it mattered, and opened it when it counted more." Her voice didn't crack, not once. She taught me that silence can be a weapon, but it's also a choice. And sometimes, surviving means speaking just loud enough to be heard without ever shouting. Someone in the crowd clapped once. The others followed, slow and real. After the ceremony, I walked the sealed envelope down to the Orion archive myself. I handed it to the vault officer. "No name, no access request, drop it in the silent file." He nodded and slid it into the system. No questions. That's how this world worked. Riley's book hit shelves 2 months later. The Fracture Line: How Art, Lies, and Power Collide. Her face was everywhere. Interviews, podcasts, think tanks. I sent her one message: "Keep your face out front. I'll hold the back line." She replied with a single checkmark. That was enough. I moved to the coast. Small town, gray skies, salt in the air. Found an old brick studio across from a bait shop. Fixed it up myself. I painted every morning. No codes, no directives. Just raw color and breath. The center back at the estate ran itself. Lexi oversaw the new rotation. They didn't need me anymore, and that felt right. One morning, I was scrubbing brushes when the bell above the door jingled. A girl stepped inside. Skinny. 17 maybe. Eyes guarded, voice small. "You Camille?" I nodded. "They said you teach the kind of silence that doesn't hurt." I put down the brush and looked her in the eye. "I do." She stepped closer. "Can I learn?" I walked to the spare easel, pulled out a blank canvas, and handed her a brush. "You just started." She sat down without another word.